Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. I am Axel, an office employee. As the workday draws to a close, I can hardly contain my excitement. I'm looking forward to changing myself. It feels good to think about leaving my usual self behind and becoming more elegant and confident as Alexa. I begin my ritual in the privacy of my apartment, starting with a thorough shave. The razor glides smoothly over my skin, removing every trace of stubble. I take my time, savoring the sensation of the blade against my cheeks, my neck, and my jawline. It's a ritual that grounds me, a reminder of the meticulous care that goes into my transformation. Next, I step into the shower, surrounded by the fragrant scent of lavender and rosemary. I lather myself with a rich, moisturizing soap, feeling the warmth of the water cascading down my body. The steam fills the air, creating a nice atmosphere that heightens my anticipation. Once I'm clean, I step out of the shower and begin the process of applying makeup. I start with a light foundation, blending it seamlessly into my skin. Then I add a touch of blush to my cheeks, a hint of color that brings my face to life. I line my eyes with a smoky black kohl pencil, creating a sultry, alluring look. Finally, I apply a coat of mascara, lengthening and thickening my lashes. As I finish my makeup, I feel a sense of transformation taking place. The man in the mirror is fading away, replaced by the beginnings of Alexa. I slip into a silky bra and panties, feeling the soft fabric caress my skin. Then I reach for the pièce de résistance, a stunning blue dress that complements my auburn hair perfectly. The dress is form-fitting, highlighting my curves in all the right places. It's made of a luxurious fabric that feels like silk against my skin, and the color is so vibrant that it seems to glow in the light. I slip my arms into the sleeves, feeling the fabric hug my body in all the right places. Then I fasten the zipper at the back, admiring my reflection in the mirror. Alexa is a vision of elegance and confidence, a far cry from the conventional masculine persona I adopt during the workday. Her eyes sparkle with a sense of freedom, and her smile is wide and genuine. I can hardly believe that this is the same person who spends his days in a cubicle, surrounded by spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations. As I prepare to leave my apartment, I take one last look in the mirror, making sure that every detail is perfect. Then I grab my clutch purse and head out into the night, ready to embrace my true self and all the excitement that comes with it. As I walk through the streets, I can feel the eyes of passers-by on me. Some stare in shock, unable to reconcile the image of Alexa with the conventional masculine persona I present during the workday. Others look at me with admiration, recognizing the courage it takes to embrace one's true self in a world that often demands conformity. As I arrived at the office party, I could feel the eyes of my colleagues on me. The room was filled with a mix of people, chattering and laughing as they sipped on cocktails. I made my way through the crowd, feeling a sense of confidence and elegance that I had never experienced before. It wasn't long before I caught the eye of Charlotte, a colleague from a different department. She was sitting at a table with a group of friends, her eyes locked on me as I approached. I could feel the electricity between us as we exchanged smiles and hellos. As the night wore on, we found ourselves drawn to each other. We danced together, our bodies moving in perfect sync. Our conversations flowed effortlessly as if we had known each other for years. I could sense a deep connection between us, something that went beyond the surface level. As the party began to wind down, Charlotte took my hand and led me to a quiet corner of the room. We sat down, our bodies close together. She looked into my eyes and told me that she had never felt this way about anyone before. I felt my heart race as I realized that the feelings were mutual. As we left the party hand in hand, I knew that my life had changed forever. I had finally embraced my true self, and in doing so, had found the love of my life. The future was uncertain, but I knew that I was ready to face whatever came my way as long as I had Charlotte by my side. As we walked out of the office building, the night air was cool and crisp. The city lights twinkled in the distance. The office party had been a revelation for me. As Alexa, I felt more alive and confident than ever before. The admiration and intrigue from my colleagues had been intoxicating, and I couldn't wait to explore this new side of myself further. So, as the weekend approached, I made a decision. I would extend my persona throughout the entire weekend, fully immersing myself in the experience of living as a woman. I woke up early and started my transformation routine. The scent of my favorite lavender soap filled the bathroom as I bathed, the warm water caressing my skin. I took my time, savoring the ritual of applying makeup, selecting the perfect outfit, and styling my auburn hair. Today, I chose a floral print dress that complemented my complexion and accentuated my curves. After my transformation was complete, I stepped out into the world as Alexa. The sunlight felt different on my skin, as if it were more vibrant and alive. I spent the day exploring the city, visiting boutiques and cafes, and soaking up the sights and sounds around me. It was a simple pleasure, but one that felt utterly exhilarating. In the evening, I attended a small gathering at a friend's house. The atmosphere was warm and welcoming, and I felt at ease as I mingled with the other guests. As the night wore on, I found myself opening up more and more, sharing stories and laughter with those around me. It was a far cry from the reserved and guarded Axel I usually presented as, and I reveled in the freedom and authenticity of my gender expression. As the weekend progressed, I continued to immerse myself in my new persona. On Sunday afternoon, I decided to take a walk in the park. The sun was shining, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. As I strolled along the paths, I noticed a group of children playing nearby. They were laughing and chasing each other, their joyous energy contagious. I felt a pang of longing, wishing that I could be a part of their carefree world. Suddenly, a little girl approached me, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Are you a girl or a boy?" she asked, her voice innocent and genuine. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to answer, but then I realized that this was an opportunity to be honest and authentic. "I'm both," I replied, smiling warmly at the child. "Sometimes I feel like a boy named Axel, and other times I feel like a girl named Alexa." The little girl looked at me with a mix of confusion and awe, her mind clearly struggling to comprehend the complexity of my identity. As I continued my walk, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. By being open and honest with the little girl, I had taken a significant step towards embracing my true self. And as I looked around at the beauty of the park, I knew that there was no turning back. I was Alexa, and I was ready to face the world as the woman I truly was. As the weekend came to a close, I felt a sense of peace and contentment that I had never experienced before. Living as Alexa had allowed me to explore new aspects of my identity and understand the complexities of my dual existence. And while I knew that there would be challenges ahead, I also knew that I was ready to face them with courage and determination. As I returned to my apartment and began the process of transforming back into Axel, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. The weekend had been a magical escape, a chance to fully immerse myself in the world of Alexa. But as I slipped back into my conventional masculine presentation, I knew that the memories of that weekend would stay with me forever, serving as a reminder of the woman I truly was. I couldn't shake the memory of Charlotte from the office party. Her warm smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she danced with me, and the gentle touch of her hand on my arm had left an indelible impression. I found myself looking forward to seeing her again at work. As I stepped into the office on Monday morning, I felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Would Charlotte remember me? Would she be as receptive to Alexa as she had been at the party? I took a deep breath and prepared myself for whatever the day might bring. It wasn't long before I spotted Charlotte across the room. She was talking to a group of colleagues, her laughter ringing out like a bell. My heart skipped a beat as I approached her, feeling a familiar flutter in my chest. "Charlotte!" I exclaimed, trying to sound casual. "It's so nice to see you again." She turned to face me, her eyes widening in recognition. "Axel, or is it Alexa?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Should I reveal my secret right away, or should I wait for her to figure it out on her own? In the end, I decided to be honest. "It's both," I said, taking a deep breath. Axel during the week, and Alexa on weekends and special occasions. Charlotte's eyes narrowed slightly, and she studied me for a moment before speaking. I see, she said, her tone even and composed. So you're a bit of a chameleon, huh? I nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. It was a relief to finally share my secret with someone, especially someone as open-minded and accepting as Charlotte. I've always felt like I was living two lives, I explained. One as a man and one as a woman. It's been a struggle to reconcile those two parts of myself, but I've finally found a way to embrace both sides. Charlotte listened intently, her eyes filled with empathy and understanding. That must be really difficult, she said, but it's clear that you've found a way to make it work for you. I admire your courage and your authenticity. Her words meant more to me than she could ever know. For the first time in my life, I felt seen and understood. It was a powerful feeling, one that made me want to be even more open and honest with her. Thank you, Charlotte, I said, my voice soft and sincere. I really appreciate your support. We spent the rest of the day catching up and getting to know each other better. Charlotte was fascinated by my transformation process, and I was more than happy to share my secrets with her. She asked me about my makeup routine, my favorite clothes, and the way I felt when I was dressed as Alexa. As the day wore on, I found myself growing more and more comfortable around Charlotte. It was as if she had unlocked a part of me that I had kept hidden for far too long. I could sense that there was a deep connection between us, one that went beyond the superficial. As the clock struck 5, I knew that our time together was coming to an end. I didn't want to say goodbye, but I also didn't want to push my luck. Charlotte, I said, taking her hand in mine, I've really enjoyed getting to know you today. I hope we can see each other again soon. She smiled at me, her eyes filled with warmth and affection. I'd like that, Axel. Or Alexa, she said, winking at me. Either way, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. As I walked away from her, I felt a sense of hope and excitement that I hadn't experienced in a long time. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was truly living my truth. And it was a beautiful thing. A couple of days went by. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest as I stood before the full-length mirror in my bedroom. The blue dress hugged my curves perfectly, and my auburn hair cascaded down my back in soft waves. I felt a surge of confidence as I admired my reflection, knowing that tonight was the night I would truly be myself. Charlotte had asked me out, but only as Alexa. It was a strange arrangement, but I couldn't deny the excitement that coursed through me at the thought of spending time with her as my true self. I knew that she was attracted to women, and there was something about my femininity that drew her in. I hoped that as we got to know each other better, she would come to accept and love both Axel and Alexa. Our first date was a cozy dinner at a quaint Italian restaurant. The candlelight flickered across the table as we shared plates of pasta and sipped on glasses of red wine. Charlotte listened intently as I told her about my love for art and my dreams of one day opening my own gallery. She shared her own passions with me, talking about her work as a social worker and her desire to make a difference in the world. As the evening wore on, I felt a sense of ease and connection with Charlotte that I had never experienced before. It was as if we were two halves of a whole, each completing the other in our own unique way. I couldn't help but feel grateful for this opportunity to be myself around her, and I knew that I wanted to explore this connection further. Our second date was a bit more adventurous. Charlotte suggested we go hiking in the nearby mountains, and I eagerly agreed. The fresh air filled my lungs as we climbed higher and higher, the world around us growing more and more beautiful with each step. We laughed and joked as we navigated the trails, and I felt a sense of freedom and joy that I hadn't experienced in a long time. As we reached the summit, Charlotte pulled out a picnic basket filled with sandwiches, fruit, and wine. We sat side by side, enjoying the view and each other's company. As we talked, I felt a deep sense of connection with Charlotte, and I knew that I wanted to spend more time with her, both as Axel and as Alexa. Our third date was a visit to the local art museum. Charlotte's eyes widened in awe as we walked from room to room, taking in the beauty of the paintings and sculptures. She asked me thoughtful questions about the art, and I felt a sense of pride as I shared my knowledge and passion with her. As we stood in front of a particularly stunning painting, Charlotte turned to me and took my hand. Her eyes met mine, and I felt a spark of electricity pass between us. It was a small, simple gesture, but it meant the world to me. I knew that I was falling for her, and I hoped that she felt the same way. As our relationship continued to blossom, I found myself growing more and more comfortable in my own skin. Each date with Charlotte was a step towards embracing my true self, and I felt a sense of joy and freedom that I had never experienced before. I knew that there would be challenges ahead, but I also knew that I had found something special in Charlotte, and I was willing to face those challenges head-on. One evening, as we sat on my couch, Charlotte looked at me with a serious expression. "Axel," she said, using my given name for the first time, "I want you to know that I don't just see Alexa. I see you two, and I care about both of you." I felt a wave of relief wash over me as I looked into her eyes. It was exactly what I needed to hear. I knew that our relationship would be complicated, but I also knew that it was worth fighting for. As we continued to date, Charlotte and I grew closer and closer. We shared our dreams, our fears, and our deepest secrets. I felt a sense of acceptance and love from her that I had never experienced before, and I knew that I was lucky to have found someone as special as her. The thought of transitioning, both personally and professionally, was both exhilarating and terrifying. I had always known that I was different, that there was a part of me that didn't quite fit the mold of masculinity. But now, with Charlotte's unwavering support and my own longing for authenticity, the idea of fully embracing my feminine side seemed like the only logical choice. As I sat in my apartment, staring out the window at the bustling city below, I couldn't help but feel a sense of clarity. I had spent so long hiding who I truly was, and it was taking a toll on my mental and emotional well-being. I deserved to live my life as the woman I knew myself to be, and I was determined to make that happen. But the practical aspects of such a decision were daunting. How would I navigate the complexities of my professional life as a woman? Would my coworkers accept me, or would I face discrimination and prejudice? And what about the physical aspects of transitioning? Would I need surgery, or would hormone therapy be enough? The next day, I walked into work as Axel, but I knew that this was the last time I would do so. As the day wore on, I grew more and more anxious, my heart pounding in my chest. But when Charlotte walked into my office, her smile wide and her eyes filled with warmth, I knew that I could do this. I took a deep breath and introduced her to Alexa. She looked me up and down, her eyes taking in my new appearance. "You look stunning," she said, her voice filled with admiration. And as we talked, I could feel the weight of my old identity lifting from my shoulders. In the weeks and months that followed, I continued to transition both personally and professionally. I began hormone therapy, which helped me develop more feminine characteristics, and I started dressing as Alexa full-time at work. My coworkers were supportive and accepting, and I found that I was happier and more fulfilled than I had ever been. I took a deep breath and stepped into the conference room, my heart pounding in my chest. This was it, the moment I had been preparing for, the moment when I would formally announce my transition to my colleagues and employer. I could feel their eyes on me as I walked to the front of the room, my blue dress swishing around my legs. "Good morning, everyone," I began, my voice steady but slightly shaky. "I hope you're all having a good day. I wanted to take a moment to share some personal news with you all." I paused, taking another deep breath.
"I've decided to transition fully to living as a woman, both personally and professionally. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I've come to the conclusion that it's the right decision for me."
There was a moment of silence as my colleagues absorbed the news. Some looked surprised, others curious, but I could sense a general sense of support and acceptance. I continued, "I want to assure you all that this won't change the way I do my job or the way I interact with you. I'm still the same person, just living more authentically." As I spoke, I could feel Charlotte's hand on my arm. Her presence meant the world to me, and I knew that I could count on her to help me navigate this new chapter in my life. My employer, Mr. Johnson, was the first to speak.
"Alexa, we support you in your decision," he said, his voice firm but kind. "We believe that everyone should have the freedom to be themselves, and we're committed to creating a workplace that is inclusive and supportive of all our employees." One by one, my colleagues chimed in, offering their own words of support and encouragement. It was a moment of immense relief and gratitude as I realized that I didn't have to hide any longer. I could be myself, fully and completely, without fear of judgment or rejection. The transition itself was a whirlwind of activity. I began seeing a therapist to help me navigate the emotional aspects of my transition, and I started taking hormones to bring about the physical changes I desired. It was a challenging time, filled with moments of doubt and uncertainty, but Charlotte was there for me every step of the way. As I began to physically transform, I noticed a change in the way people interacted with me. Colleagues who had previously addressed me as Axel now called me Alexa, and I could sense a shift in the way they perceived me. It was a small but significant change, one that reinforced my decision to transition. Navigating a professional environment as a transgender woman was not without its challenges, however. There were moments of discomfort and awkwardness as I adjusted to my new identity and others adapted to addressing me as a woman. It's a journey that I wouldn't trade for anything, and I am grateful for every step of the way. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.